Hello, New Rochelle. This is Superintendent Jonathan Raymond, and welcome to another edition of What Matters Most. We are taping at Trinity Elementary School, where everything you do matters. First, we'll have some good news. Congratulations to Huguenot Academy senior Anthony Valla on being named a Monroe College Presidential Partnership Scholarship recipient. We are very, very excited and proud of you, Anthony. Congratulations to 7th grade teacher Martha Santana on being named Educator of Excellence by the New York State English Council. She was one of only 2 middle school teachers statewide to receive the honor. And for some fun facts, did you know that the Earth's oxygen is produced by the ocean? And did you know that the average number of calories consumed on Thanksgiving is over 4,500? And did you know that the first Thanksgiving lasted 3 days? That is a lot of pumpkin pie. I have a special guest in studio today, Mr. Jeff Weber, New Rochelle High School, head of our science research program. And of course, Jeff, you knew about how oxygen was produced, right?
Absolutely, and the calories in Thanksgiving and all about it.
Yeah, well, that's great. That's great. Well, we're so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Could you tell our audience a little bit about yourself and how you came to New Rochelle and of course your love for science?
Sure. So my name is Jeff Weber, and I've been here at New Rochelle since 2009. Before that, I went to Penn State, got my master's at Columbia, came right into New Rochelle as an earth science teacher. Taught earth science until about 2017 when I started to teach science research, and then it has been full steam science research for the past 6 years now.
Yeah.
That's me in a nutshell.
That's amazing. So talk a little bit about the science research program. How did it come to be? What is the science? What makes it so special?
Great. So science research has existed in New Rochelle in some way or another for a couple decades, but it's always been kind of a small, simmering thing in the background. So I took it over in 2017, and I learned a lot about how science research works in other districts, and it was better. I didn't like that it was better at other districts, so we came to change it. And the basic concept of science research is students have a passion for science, a passion within a topic. They come into science research. We learn as much as we can about their topic to essentially become an expert in their topic, which is hard when you're in 10th grade and trying to be an expert on cancer research. But that's the goal of what we try to do. And then the students look for a scientific mentor locally or anywhere in the world who can work with them or guide them on a research project for the following summer. Then they do that real, authentic science research. It's not like fake stuff. It's actual science research to advance the body of knowledge of science in the world. Then when they come back into the classroom in the fall, we work on their research papers. We work on research posters. We go to science fairs. We win at science fairs, which is really exciting. And then we work on skills, which we can probably talk about in a little bit, work on the skills that students will need not just for college, but for their occupation and well beyond.
So let's talk about those skills and how a student gets into the science research program.
Sure. So on a basic level, it's if you're going to be in 10th grade, you fill out the application and we'll take you into science research. That's the basic part. You do have to have that passion for science. You do have to have that willingness to work hard, but there's no other barrier. So
that's great.
There's so many kids in New Rochelle who can fit that mold. Great, coming into science research. We will make a scientist out of you.
Did you hear that, New Rochelle? Did you hear that, how easy it is to get in? Love science, willing to work hard.
Yes.
Okay.
Come on, I want you. And then but what we do in science research, aside from the actual hard science, there's a ton of skills that isn't advertised that we work on in science research. For example, public speaking is a big one. When our science research students go to other classes and have to present, the teachers always tell me that the science research kids are really good at presenting. We're really proud of that. We also do a lot of character development within the kids because they have to reach out to scientist mentors who are professionals in the world and convince them that they need them to do a science research project. So it's really hard for a student who's in high school to convince someone with a PhD that they're good enough to do a science research project.
But they do.
But they do.
Right.
And another part of that is rejection, because sometimes you reach out to the scientist and they'll go, no, not going to do it. And then the student has to recenter themselves, read another journal article, and reach out to someone again, because it could take up to 100 emails before you finally get to a scientist who's willing to work with you.
Has it?
Oh, absolutely. And it takes a tremendous amount of grit and determination and dealing with rejection to go forward. But those skills, if you can if you can muster those skills and use those later in life to let nothing stop you, it's tremendous.
Now, when I visited your classroom a few times, I've seen other students mentoring and working, upperclassmen working with, talk a little bit about that. That's a big part of the program.
That's a huge part of our program. So we call it Sunbays and Hubays, which are Korean honorifics. And why we do that is a mystery. But so we have the upperclassmen, the 11th and 12th graders will mentor our 10th grade students on whatever they need help with. So what was it last week? We were working on draft emails to mentors. We were working on poster feedback. We were working on helping the sophomores find journal articles, because the concept is the juniors and seniors have done it before, so they know what they're doing. The sophomores are new. So there's that inter-program mentoring, and they get to be really good friends with their mentors as the year goes on, and they stay in touch, and it's really cool. And we've kind of expanded that a little bit to spread out a little bit wider into the district. So this year and a few years now, we've had our high school students serve as mentors to middle and elementary school students on their own science research projects, which is really, really cool. Just because on a base level, if we want to have great scientists, start them young.
Absolutely.
Because by the time they get to me in high school, if they're already amazing, license to print money.
Right here in Trinity, we have a STEM program.
Absolutely, and we have students from Trinity that are involved with our high school students and research projects. So that's our NRUs program, where we have high school students organizing everything, which is really cool because they handle about 99% of everything, and I just get to be there and wave and make sure that everything's good, right? So they'll connect all of the high school mentors with our middle school and elementary school students who are interested in doing a research project, and then that's happening now. So in the fall, they'll be doing the research project, and then in January, we have our Young Scientist Research Fair, which is going to be up at the high school. Hopefully, everything will be in person, posters will be fantastic. And then they'll be judged by high school students on their projects.
That's great.
And hopefully win some awards. And then the next step would be going on to the Tri-County Science Fair later in the spring.
Well, talk a little bit about the fairs that your students compete in.
Yes.
You sort of glossed over that, but some of these are a really big deal, and they're all over the country and the world, right?
Yeah, we do very well at science fairs. When I took over science research, we were averaging maybe 8 awards a year, and then over the past few years, we've been averaging about 52 awards a year. So we do well. So last week, we just had all of our seniors submit to the Regeneron Science Talent Search, which is the nation's oldest, most prestigious science talent search fair. It used to be called Intel or Westinghouse, if people remember that. And then in the spring, we do JSHS and WESF, which are local fairs. The big one, though, is WESF. That's just Westchester Science and Engineering Fair. They're expecting about 700 projects from all over Westchester. This past year, we won 25-something awards. And the past 2 years, we've had students qualify for ISEF, which is the International Science and Engineering Fair. That's the big one. And it's essentially the science, the Olympics of science fairs. And this past year was in Atlanta. This next year is in Texas. I've never been to Texas, so students keep working. I'd like to go to Texas. And so hopefully we get to go back this year, but we've been doing really, really well. Another one we do is the International Genius Olympiad, which is held in upstate New York, and that's students from over 70 countries from all around the world come and share their research. So it's a busy year that we have.
Students get to mix and meet students from all around the country, all around the world.
All around the world when they go to these science fairs, which is a huge opportunity.
How many students are in the program? And then talk a little bit about your vision for growing and expanding the program.
So we have in grades 10 through 12, we have about 65 students in the program, which is our biggest enrollment ever, which is really, really exciting. And then we have about another 40, 45 students in our freshman pre-science research program. So just to talk about pre-science research, some students don't feel maybe that they're comfortable going into science research, may not have the skills they need. Join pre-science research as a freshman and work on those skills. So by the time you get to 10th grade, ready to go, and we're off like a rocket. And what was the other question? Sorry, I got distracted.
Your vision, your vision for expanding.
The big picture.
Really creating
so
a science
I would
community.
love for when people hear New Rochelle, that the first thing they think of is science research. Because as of right now, it might be PAVE, might be football, might be the other amazing things that happen in the city. But my life goal is to turn it into science research is the first thing they hear. And in accomplishing that, that means that when students graduate college, they go on to do STEM research. I think 95% of our alumni from science research have gone on to major in STEM fields. And a bunch of them email me back all the papers they're getting published, like genuine official journal article publishings, which are really cool. And then they go on to grad school and they go on to accomplish things. It is amazing what I can see our alumni accomplish. And so when I turn the focus back to New Rochelle and all of our grades K through 12, it's just, what can we create? We can create the next generation of scientists that our world desperately needs. all of the major issues of our planet can essentially be solved with science. You can look at the COVID pandemic, not the last one we're going to have, unfortunately. So we got to make sure that these kids are the scientists that are in place when the next one hits. There's a hurricane that just hit Florida last week, and there was a devastating one a few months ago. Climate change is huge. These kids in New Rochelle, these young scientists, are the ones that will save the world from all of the problems that we have. So, my personal investment is I need all of these young students and scientists to become the scientists to cure any disease before I get it. But just in the big picture of science in New Rochelle, we have so much great talent with our students here in New Rochelle, and it is my honor and pleasure to be able to be a part of their transformational journey to becoming a scientist.
Right, and when I visited last spring, all of your seniors, not only do they graduate, they were all accepted at multiple colleges, right?
They do really well getting into universities. They get into multiple universities, many Ivy Leagues.
Right.
We've had a ton of kids go to Johns Hopkins and UPenn and Cornell, and anywhere in between. They do really, really well.
Yeah. Last question: one or two research in all your years, one or two projects, or that really stand out for you.
You're going to make me pick? Oh, it's like picking my favorite child.
One or two. We'll have you back, and you can share more. So.
So I'm going to single out an alumni, Jake Eagleberg, who was doing research on flagella of bacteria against antibiotic resistance. He's up at Northeastern now, and he was so good at science communication and communicating his very difficult and complicated research project that I kind of looked at what he did and I said, oh, this is what everybody needs to do. So it wasn't that his project was going to change the world itself, but the way that he did it has changed how we do science research. And I stay in touch with Jake, and the stuff that he's doing up at Northeastern is absolutely incredible. The opportunities that he's had brought to him just from what he did in high school science research. He still emails me and thanks me for his science research opportunity because it's still opening doors 4 years down the road.
Amazing.
So that one was really cool. And then I'm also going to spotlight Alessandra Papalardi, who's a current senior. She was our first sophomore who ever did a research project and went off to the science fairs. It was on popularity in high school.
Okay.
And I didn't know if, as a sophomore, you could do a survey-based project, spread it out, and have success at science fairs. It was, we'll see what happens. And she taught me that you not only can do well, you can win a grand prize award. So that almost gave us the inspiration to say, well, you don't have to be a junior or senior for these great achievements. Let's open it up to everybody. So last year we had Elena Adams, who was an outstanding freshman and won an awards, and now our middle school students win awards at Tri-County. So those research projects have really inspired me and all of our students in science research to achieve bigger and better things.
I think how you also model, we're all learners, and we learn
Never stop.
and we learn, as I like to say, the work is the learning and the learning is the work. So,
Yep, absolutely.
Clearly you love what you do, and you're excited about science.
I really do.
Yeah. Well, let's give you the final word.
This is the final word. Students of New Rochelle, come into science research. Let me make you into a scientist. I'm the one that will open the doors, but you're the one that has to walk through it. And I will teach you everything you need to walk through every door. I know all these other science research programs in Westchester. They don't have anything special. But I do, because I have the students in New Rochelle. Let's go.
Just be ready to work hard, right?
Oh, I'll work you hard. Yeah, that's going to happen.
Guaranteed. So good to see you, Jeff.
Very good to see you again, Mr. Raymond.
I love what you're doing, and I
Thank you so
can't
much.
wait to come back and to meet more of your students.
You're welcome anytime.
All right.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So there we are, New Rochelle, another edition of What Matters Most. So grateful for Jeff Weber being here today, and looking forward to our next show. Anyway, take care. Have a great rest of your week, New Rochelle.